biggest advantages, of course, are the cost savings in the long run, and also the speed at which a mediation can settle all the issues that a client has brought to me. And the way that it is so less aggressive than litigation. It's a much more conducive environment to solve problems than litigation is, which ends up having a judge telling you what you must do or what you can have, rather than coming up with suitable solutions that may sometimes be a little bit off the wall.
Hi everyone, I'm Stuart Lawrence, founder of Mediator Locator, and welcome to our short video series, Meet the Mediator. In this series, we get to know the people behind the role, and I'm delighted to be joined by Claire Kitchen from Freeman Solicitors today, who will be chatting with me about mediation. This series is a great way to see the people behind the mediation itself and why choosing the right mediator can make all the difference. So let's get started. Lovely to see you, Claire. First question to you is, can I ask a little bit about your professional background and the path that led you to where you are today?
Yes, lovely to see you again, Stuart, and it's thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak through this. But I'm currently a partner and head of dispute resolution at Freeman Solicitors in London. Freeman Solicitors are an award-winning firm. They have been around for over 30 years now, and it's a wonderful place to work. I got into dispute resolution back in 1999 with my first job as a paralegal. And apart from a short stint in commercial property, I have been practicing since 1999. From the very early part of my career, I started assisting or advising clients in mediation, everything from partnership disputes to inheritance disputes. And there have been, throughout my career, about 60 or 70 mediations in those 30 years. It's such a wonderful process, and I fell in love with it at a very, very early stage in my career, and then decided to qualify as a mediator a few years ago, and I've been doing that since then, together with acting for parties in mediations as well. So not only am I a mediator, I'm still a practicing lawyer, practicing litigation.
Excellent. And how long did you say you've been mediating? As far back as 1999, or?
Mediating cases since about 2001, so just after the Wolf reforms came in. But actually, as a trained mediator, not so long. It's about 5 years, I think, 4 years.
Excellent. And obviously, like me, you're a big fan of mediation. So what is it you find most rewarding about mediation from your point of view and from the point of view of the client?
Well, from my point of view, I find it fascinating that you are able to see both parties' cases and the thought processes and the emotions that go into those cases. From a client's point of view, I think it can act as a cathartic experience during a rather fraught litigation process, and people seem to underestimate the litigation process and going through the court. But the biggest advantages, of course, are the cost savings in the long run, and also the speed at which a mediation can settle all the issues that a client has brought to me. And the way that it is so less aggressive than litigation. It's a much more conducive environment to solve problems than litigation is, which ends up having a judge telling you what you must do or what you can have, rather than coming up with suitable solutions that may sometimes be a little bit off the wall.
So, Claire, you mentioned that litigation is a process that people often don't understand fully or appreciate the implications of it. Have you had many clients who are in the litigation process that have changed direction and decided to go to mediation?
Well, of course, yes, and the courts are all the more keener for people to at least try to negotiate their disputes anyway before it gets to litigation. But most of my clients commence litigation with a fire under them. They then see the realities of litigation, which not only includes costs, but include the stress of litigation and the time taken away from their usual lives having to speak to me. And it becomes apparent that they find the mediation process almost cathartic. So they're able to vent their spleen, they're able to put that fire out that's wanting them to cause the litigation, but also it soothes them from a point of view that they're being listened to, that their dispute does have an end in sight, and a successful mediation will often produce results that a court wouldn't be able to order anyway. So a lot of it doesn't always work. Mediation sometimes is unsuccessful, but I think the statistics are such that most cases that engage in mediation do settle before trial.
Yeah.
Now,
I think it's as high as 90%, isn't it, of mediations result in settlement. And I think even if they're not resolved in the mediation, it so narrows the issues anyway, which I think is really helpful. Yeah.
That's it, absolutely. But I think people who want to litigate forget how stressful it is, and that's as well as the cost. That is one of the biggest things, because at the end of the day, you're going to be stood in a witness box with a barrister who doesn't know you from Adam, testing your evidence, and that is such a stressful experience. And you add that to the fact that you've then got to persuade a judge that your side of the case is correct, and it's not within your control anymore. So I always frame to, especially as when I'm the mediator, I always frame it to clients that, look, that you're in control of this settlement. The minute it leaves this room, you're not in control anymore. It's in somebody else's hands. And clients, mediation clients, seem to really appreciate that. And they, especially those suffering from litigation fatigue, are more likely to look at settlement as an option rather than having their day in court.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you've had a long career so far, mainly in litigation, and you've done a lot of mediations over the years as well. Are there any particular types of dispute that you specialize in or you have a particular interest in?
I do an awful lot of commercial litigation disputes. So that's disputes against shareholders, disputes under contracts, disputes in relation to the breakdown of any kind of business relationship. But I've also been heavily involved in contentious probate litigation throughout my career. And I think one of the largest areas I have litigated in are complicated Inheritance Act dispute cases. They are so emotive. You have clients that do not understand the other side at all. The ones I usually act in are extremely high value as well, with several complicating factors. So maybe several businesses, where you have the disputes almost in microcosm. So you've got the whole dispute over an estate. Part of that estate will be a couple of companies, and then you have issues. What do we do with the shares? How do we deal with these fighting shareholders? So that's my absolute favorite, because you really get to see people at their most vulnerable, at their most volatile, and as a mediator, picking a way through both parties' valid concerns is always, to me, the most worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, it's not just a technical commercial dispute. There's a lot of emotion brought to the table as well.
Absolutely.
And quite often, I think in those scenarios, you see family relationships can be repaired sometimes, which is a massive benefit of mediation. Which leads me very neatly into my penultimate question. You've alluded to the fact that there's a lot of benefits, but if you had to pick one benefit of mediation, what would you say is the biggest benefit?
I think you've just mentioned it, which is the fact that relationships can be restored and renewed. And I think I would look back to one of my earliest mediations before I was a practicing mediator, when I was a baby solicitor doing, I think, one of my first mediations was relating to a partnership dispute, and the partners had been previously in a romantic relationship and had remained friends and managed a business, but the way the business was being run had caused them to fall out. By the end of the day, we'd resolved the dispute, and they were entering into another business venture together because they had both realised that part of their strengths was each other, and that the mediation had managed them to air their grievances in such a way that they were able to work through them. And I think that was when I realised what a marvellous process mediation can be.
And I always think it's incredible, with litigation, it can take years to get to court, and it's a hugely expensive process to prepare all the documents. You can fix the type of issues that you've just described in as little as a day.
Yes.
It's just unbelievable. Thank you very
Yes.
much. And the final question, if you're happy to, are you able to say a few words about your experience of working with Mediator Locator?
Yes, of course. So one of the big pluses is you, Stuart, obviously.
That's very kind, thank you.
It's great
I'll send
to
the
have
check.
somebody. It's great to have somebody you can call up and speak to about any issues you have, and that's from a litigation practitioner's point of view as well. So I very often contact you when I need a mediator, because I know the breadth and experience of the mediators you have at Mediator Locator. But not only that, I mean, you could say that for anybody, but the difference is you know them all personally. You've seen them all in action, and you will give an honest opinion as to who would be the best fit for this particular job. So I think it's the breadth of experience of the mediators that you have on the panel. But secondly, I think you are the most helpful part for customers and for us mediators, because we're able to talk things through with you, with somebody that has the experience, and of course who is a qualified lawyer himself.
That's much appreciated. Thanks a lot. I'm going to blush now. Yeah. So that's it. Thanks everyone for watching this episode of Meet the Mediators. If you'd like to learn more about mediation or ask us to find the right mediator for you, which could well be Claire, please do get in touch at mediatorlocator.com, and we'd be delighted to hear from you. Thanks very much. And that's it for now. Goodbye.
Bye.